out of my bed. My back was really aching. My eyes were cherry red. It's just the morning after. I don't remember who was here. I'll eat a slice of that cold pizza and wash it down with warm beer. I got that not so fresh feeling from my head down to my toes. I think I had a good time. Heaven only knows. It's just the morning after. Lord, it's funky up in here. Help me now, yeah. I'll eat a slice of cold pizza and wash it down with warm beer.
Yeah, you got it now. Hey, welcome everybody. It's the morning after with JP and Big Joe. I'm JP. Over there is Big Joe. How you doing, Big Joe?
Oh, hey, it's funky up in here.
Yeah, you got it now. I like when she does that. That's my favorite part. Sort of adopted it and made it the welcome call to our show. But welcome everyone. Big Joe, how are you, man?
You know, I'm pretty funky fresh. I got a package in the mail from Denver, Colorado, from Blood Incantation. And
is that what that series of squiggles on your shirt says?
Oh, it is. Hold on, wait. Now you can read it.
That's completely illegible. Like, I understand death metal.
But now, but there.
Well, no, even when you take the braids away, I understand death metal logos are hard to read, but that is impossible. Come on. No one can read that.
It's actually, you win a prize if you could start from here and get all the way through there without getting stopped.
Oh, it's a maze. Okay. Let me bust out my colored pencil.
Give you something to write on.
I got my pretzel. That's what he says, right?
They gave you pretzels in school?
I always thought in Smoking in the Boys Room, the Motley Crue song, I always thought he says smoking ain't allowed in school, but I thought he said smoking in the lounge is cool.
Well, you know, what was that Chris Rock song that came out in the 90s? No, it wasn't the lounge. It was the champagne room. There was no sex in the champagne room. But when you said lounge, like, oh, well, you could smoke in the champagne room.
I was thinking like the teacher's lounge. I didn't know. I was a kid, but I just thought it was funny because he was like, man, this guy's saying smoking's cool. That's funny.
Well, it kind of was. For them,
it was totally
right?
cool, but the idea was that smoking doesn't make you cool, kids. And then be like, the cool kids will try to get you to smoke. It's like right there. You just called them the cool kids. You just called them the cool kids. Anyway.
Gosh darn cool kids.
Welcome everybody to the morning after. Thank you for joining us. It's Friday morning. Just a little business to take care of at the front of the episode. We will not be having a show next week. Next week is Christmas Day, Christmas morning.
Are you flipping flopping me?
I'm not fucking you today. Okay, this is a real thing.
Well, that's kind of personal. I mean, that's what we need to talk about with our therapist, not the show.
Yes. Well, I have Thursdays. I talk to a therapist on Thursdays. She's very nice. She makes me feel better. But and then I come on here on Fridays and I just talk, much like I do to my therapist. Yeah. But my secrets stay with me. Okay.
Oh.
However, next week is Christmas morning. We will not be doing a show. Don't feel obligated to tune in. We're not going to be here. However, if you do want us in your life on Christmas morning, the morning after with JP and Big Joe is always available for replays. We have them on YouTube. They're on Facebook. If you're on Twitch, you can check them out for a short amount of time. I think they stay up for like 2 weeks. Honestly, who cares? If you're watching us on Twitch, thank you very much. Give us a follow. YouTube, give us a subscribe, all that shit. I hate to say this stuff. It makes me feel dirty. Push button, receive bacon. That is the... Have you seen those hand dryers, the hot air hand dryers? The little picture. Yeah. The picture looks like it's saying if you press this button, bacon will come out because there's little like red wavy lines that come out. Anyway.
I thought maybe it was like some sort of invention that English cartoon had with the guy with the dog, where breakfast was served to him
Yes,
through like
yes,
his big
yes.
old thing.
That was Wallace and
Wallace
Gromit.
and Gromit.
Yeah, Gromit, Walkies. Yeah, great show. So anyway, next week, feel free to tune in, but we're not going to be here. We will be resuming episodes on January 1st. That's 2 weeks from today. That's my birthday. It'll be New Year's Day, New Year's morning. I imagine everyone's going to be real tired. But we're banking on the idea that people will stay up all night on New Year's Eve, reach us at 10 in the morning and sort of go to bed with us. Maybe we'll be like their nighty night tuck you in voices. What do you think?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you can even imagine us snuggling up right next to you, sleeping that hard day in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to be on a Friday. That's that's a day I normally have to work. So there was years where I never really got to sleep in or stay up all night, which I did stay up most of the night. But
because you were working
next
on
morning,
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve and then New Year's morning because I went on the darn day off.
Wow, what's wrong with you? Oh,
I just love that paycheck.
Man, are they working you like a dog, my man?
Well, they were. Now I'm just hanging out like a kitty cat in the sun.
Yeah. Is it sunny over there? Yeah.
It actually is really nice out. It's just getting cold. It's not Denver cold. I left like a nice little winter and came back here and got like 2 more weeks of summer, and now all the trees are losing and getting all naked and stuff, and
Ooh.
I don't know. It's still nice.
You like when the crunchy leaves fall off the tree?
Yeah, that's good, but I like when it's like, I like it hot, to be honest.
Some do. Some like it hot.
So one thing I figured out about Denver, though, those crunchy leaves, like they don't have that because everything ices over. So you're like, oh, I'm going to go step in these leaves, right? It's all icy outside and you're like looking, but then the leaves are fucking frozen icicles and you like slip on them the second you try to like, oh, dude, and it's fast. You're like, me, I'm not a quick moving guy. Being a big flat-footed, there's a reason why they call him Big Joe. Uh-huh. And I almost ate dirt, just because like I didn't realize that they were frozen and frosted over, and I avoided every leaf. I came back. I was like, fuck this.
Well,
and I don't like maple leaves anymore. Like no more leaves at all.
Oh well, I'm glad you're still with us. It sounded like a dangerous fucking leaf that you came across there.
Dude, there's a couple bad seeds out there.
Could have been bad. Glad you're with us in these normal amongst normal California leaves. Crunchies.
I could trust those guys.
Okay.
Good upbringing.
Well, anyway, we got a great show. Something I should have mentioned at the very start of the episode. We got Henry Montoya from WITCHAVEN today on the show. It's a big fat fucking show today. Very excited. Yeah, we do, Joe. We do. We got Henry. We did it. Dude. You did it. Way to go.
Don't blame this on me.
Oh, but you're our head booker. You're our head booker here at the Morning After. So great work. Great work.
What exactly is a head booker?
Well, I know what you're getting at. You're getting at a dirty joke. I see.
Are you just gonna shake your head and let it pass?
It's not that kind of show. Kind of show.
I'm not that kind of guy either. So this is uncharted territory for me too.
I see what you mean. Yes. Thank you for booking our guest. You got him in the house. Very happy for that. Just like you do with most of our guests. I don't really lift a finger when it comes to booking the guest. So if you've got someone that needs to be on the show, send all that to Joe. Or better yet, you can send it to the email we have, morningaftertv@gmail.com. You can send anything there. If you got a weird picture, you got a weird story you want us to talk about. We open it ourselves. We look at these emails for real. Okay. I don't have my I don't have Dominique, my producer, open the emails. I do it. Either I do it or Joe does it. Okay, so
All day.
yes, all day. And in fact, there's a great opportunity for trolling here. You could send us a picture that you might think we don't want to see, and then you could trick me potentially. I'll open that email, and I'll be forced to look at it. Look,
Like,
the
oh, what
email's
did you force me to look at?
Yeah. I mean, look, the email's been quiet, so send us some damn emails, okay, people? All right. So I don't know if you heard, Joe. Are you aware of the As I Lay Dying frontman Tim Lambesis? This man was hired an undercover cop to kill his wife, and then basically served no time for it, and is now.
Oh, did he not serve time?
I don't know if he did. If he did, it was barely any. But he's out. He's around, and he's burning himself. Interesting. You know, I'm going to give Blabbermouth a little love here because this actually is news. Got this from
Okay, I was
Blabbermouth.
going to say, JP, is this really news?
This is really news. Yeah, this happened. As I Lay Dying frontman Tim Lambesis suffers burns to 25% of his body in freak accident. A lot of people are celebrating this. A lot of people are celebrating. I posted it on my Facebook, and people were like, "Karma, motherfucker." Joe, let me ask you something. Okay, this guy tried to have his wife murdered. Okay, like legit, like hired an undercover cop, proven everything.
You have to pay money to get in trouble for that, like exchange of money.
Yes, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes, exactly. So he went through with it.
He went through with it full on. He full on went through with it. He's out of jail, and he's touring with his band again. Is that not fucked?
See, that's always a hard one. You know, and I was actually putting thought into this the other day. When you're in a cool band and maybe somebody in your band that you know well or you don't know very well, you pick up a new guy and they do something fucked up. There was a couple of Bay Area bands that I've seen that watch, and then they had to go out and say, hey, we have nothing to do with this guy. And I'm pretty sure, didn't he get fired like from his band because he's in another band? But the Arnold Schwarzenegger Death Machine or whatever that was, the Australian.
Wow. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So I mean, he's making money, you know. So
I think his bands separated themselves from him when it first happened, but now
which is a smart thing to do.
Oh, absolutely. From a murderer, yeah, separate yourself. But then I think like he went through this whole thing. Now I'm all for forgiveness, you know. If you've put the time in to prove that you've changed. But you know, he put out some video, very sympathetic, and I think his band is like kind of back on his side now.
Or maybe he owns all the royalties and rights to the band, and he just replaced them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like, that's that gravy train. We need to jump back on.
Hey, if it pays the rent, I guess.
We got a astute comment here. Just like some people don't like politics in their music, some people don't care about the morality of the people behind the band they like or the musicians they like. That's true. I know there's a lot of people that'll turn a blind eye to some of the things that their heroes say, like, well, he didn't mean that. You know, or I don't know, Joe.
There's one band in particular that I'm not going to mention that I really struggle with all the time, going like, man, I grew up with this band, and he came out and said some really wacky stuff at a concert in Hollywood a couple of years ago, and man, I can't let go.
Well, I gotta know who it is. Is it Pantera?
It's Pantera, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Phil, I think there's plenty of evidence of Phil Anselmo being a complete dumb fuck.
There is now, I mean, the internet, but back when, I didn't know, all I had was, we didn't have the internet or YouTube or here's this rant, and, all I really had was the home videos on cassette. No, I think it was on a DVD, which was pretty much like Dying Vision, which I never watched, but it was them just drinking and shooting fireworks at each other and playing in Japan,
They seem like just fine fellas. I love those videos.
Fine fellas. Maybe they're just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna, but then once, I don't know, people are so dumb and it's so easy to fuck up. And then now you could go back and you have to publicly, he probably didn't even know to. His, lawyer or his manager probably said, hey, if you want another gig or if you want to be touring Europe, which they canceled all their shows, like you need to
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah.
I
Damage
don't care if you
control.
mean it or not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm all for forgiveness, but I don't know, man. I think, like I said, I think you got to put in some work and show us that you've changed a little bit. And I just don't know how this Tim Lambesis guy could have possibly done that in the short amount of time that, he, had. All right. So folks, on that awkward note about murder, let's move on. I don't know. I guess there was a part of me that was sort of excited to read that he burned himself. That's kind of
How did he burn himself?
I didn't get that far. Maybe I should read the article.
Pictures are worth 1,000 words.
All I needed was to see him in that hospital bed.
Yeah.
So he's smiling. So, all right. Hey, what do you say we bring in our special guests today on this episode? Guest? Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I should have brought it up at the start of the episode, but I waited way too long to bring it up. So I'm just going to say it again, folks. We got Henry Montoya from WITCHAVEN. He's about to come in. One of the WITCHAVEN, one of the OGs of the Southern California, not just Southern California, but just the whole American re-thrash new wave of thrash. Although WITCHAVEN is so much more than thrash. You've got black metal in there. You've got some elements of death metal, stuff like that. I really don't want to pigeonhole them, but they were part of that group. WITCHAVEN was, playing with all the thrash bands coming up in the late 2000s, early 2010s. So it'll be nice to chat with an OG on the scene, and they're still doing it, folks. They're still doing it. So let's check in with the man himself. Let's bring him in. Let's bring in Henry. There he is. What's up, Hen?
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there.
Welcome to the show, Henry. How you doing, my man?
Oh, I'm doing marvelous. How about you, gentlemen?
I'm doing great. I'm pretty sure Joe's doing well over there. I want to thank you again. I know you don't do like a whole lot of these interviews, so thank you so much for emerging for us today.
Nice.
Yeah, man. So let me get into it. First of all, so you had, if you don't mind me asking about, you had a bit of a health scare last year.
Oh yeah.
Let me know what was that like, and how are you doing?
Well, I had a major addiction to alcohol, amongst other things, and so it really took over my life to the point where I had like complications. My liver was fucking up, all those good things. So I was hospitalized. And there you go. Anyways, I was hospitalized. I was having a hard time with that. I stayed in hospital for like about a little over a month, and they had to do a procedure where they I think they had to like snip a part of my pancreas out or some shit like that. Yeah, my pancreas. Yeah, it was rough. Anyways, when it came out, I had jaundice, all the good stuff, and yeah, I was like, I was on the verge of death, and then. But hey, I'm still here, and I lived long enough to see COVID at least, and well, that's a treasure in itself. So, yeah. And here we are. I'm feeling great. Like the way I feel right now, it doesn't feel like I ever had anything wrong with me at all. So.
I'll have to tell you. I know JP looks pretty shocked there, but you do look great, my man.
Yeah.
You look like you made a full recovery. And you look like it looked like for a second there the band wasn't going to carry on, but now that's kind of changed. Yeah.
Well, at the time, I mean, I was sick, and it was difficult to kind of get things going. But I mean, what's funny? It's not like it really meant much, because I think like a handful of months later, here we are.
No, it's funny. I relate because moving out of the Bay Area, I did that probably about 6 or 7 months ago, and I was really worried about having to travel back up to the Bay Area to play, but I haven't had to do that once because we've been on lockdown.
Yeah,
So
so a lot
kind
of
of best
that.
timing for some weird shit happening, you know.
And funny enough, I think that's happening a lot to a lot of bands. Like I could think of a handful of bands that are kind of just trying to feel themselves out, and you know, you got to look at the silver lining and things. And so I think this is helping a lot of bands kind of just get themselves together, you know. And so it's totally good for us with Witch Haven, because at the time when I first got out of hospital, I wasn't able to perform any shows. So I had to make a statement that at the time the band is pretty much over, you know, because I wasn't so sure like if I was gonna feel this good as I'm feeling right now back then. Because if you would have felt the way I felt back then, you would have been like, well, there's no fucking damn way I'm gonna pick up a guitar and play for fucking 40 minutes.
Wow.
So, but I mean now I could do that easily, you know. So I guess it's just a matter of time. But even then, even though I can play, I'm taking this time to kind of just to kind of I don't want to say rework and retool the band, but kind of like I give it a shot in the arm and make it like get that youthful energy again. You know, we wrote a bunch of songs. We're gonna do that, and then I don't know. Time and perspective changes everything, and it's just like, you know what, we got to start over. We got to do things the right way and kind of bring that mentality from the first. Remember when we all started, that first energy, you know.
Yeah.
So try to capture that and not feel like you're a fucking dad rock band and feel like you're fucking like Forbidden or fucking Heathen trying to just like clutch on something that happened fucking 30 years ago. Like, bro, fuck that, man. We got to come in and just be like, you know, be us and just be like, have that feeling like, you know, I'm having fun. Fuck it if anyone likes it or not, whatever. Yeah.
Is this the first? Is this the first time that you, as a songwriter or as Witch Haven as a band, has sort of kind of not been sure where to go? It seems like you have an idea of where the band is, but like as you said, we need to get back a certain kind of like attitude and a style. Do you feel sort of like lost? And is this the first time that Witch Haven has sort of faced this?
You know, every time Witch Haven's always faced like a loss, or we're always like navigating through the woods and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember we did Terror Storm, so you know we wanted to be this like, you know, political kind of hyper thrash creator kind of sounding band, and I think we kind of accomplished it with, you know, hints of black metal. And then and Blood Sacrifice, we were kind of masquerading as a thrash band, but really trying to be a black metal band. And then we kind of have worked our way trying to write new music and trying to inject punk and black metal and thrash. But in this moment, really what happened was we had a bunch of songs ready, and we've been writing them all year. And I'm listening to them, and they're great songs, you know. They got good guitar parts, heavy, you know, the stuff that makes you feel like, okay, yeah, this is cool. But I was working on other music and then just kind of, you know, analyzing the world, just feeling how things are. And I noticed, you know what, these songs are great. They have like that death metal structure, you know, where it's riff after riff, you know, it's always something changing. But I was like, these aren't songs though, you know? Like, I want to write songs that are like fucking songs, like the way you maybe you listen to like the early Destruction records or Show No Mercy, fucking even Exodus, Bonded by Blood. You listen to those songs and you're like, well, goddamn, that's a song. Like, it stays right here.
It seems like you're talking about like the way those early albums, you know, Show No Mercy, Bonded by Blood. It's like a collection of songs, whereas as opposed to an album that it sounds like one long song.
Yeah. And then, you know, here's the problem with a lot of modern bands, and I hear it everywhere. I'm hearing all the bands coming out right now. It's just we're all trying to out metal each other. We're trying to break the world and come up with the riff that's gonna change the fucking world. And it's like, you know what I was thinking, man? No, let's just this is jazz, man. This is blues. We're gonna play the riffs that have been played a million times over, and we're just gonna play them real good. And you know what? And I'm kind of coming into the writing process where I'm gonna write songs, and even if I know this sounds like a song that's already happened before, we're gonna commit to it, have full conviction towards it. Like, I'm not trying to change the world here. I just want to write some rockin' riffs You know, most times every band is trying to throw in so many notes in the riff and try to sound cool. And it's just like, you know what? Fuck that, man. Just let 007 all the way, man. You know what I mean? Fuck it.
So that's so interesting because I've never really heard it verbalized that way. You're sort of like looking at metal as like a format, like as you said, blues or jazz or something like that, as opposed to just a lineal series of riffs. So it's a very, very interesting thought because blues format. We all know how to play blues, or blues players know how to play blues in key of A. You think you could do that with metal?
Yeah, you got to do it with metal. You got to do it. Well, I mean, it all kind of comes from that, right? I mean, the thing is, I think most metal bands are trying to be a prog kind of band. Mm-hmm. And and this is really what it comes down to. Analyzing music, and you're asking a lot to a listener to take the ride with you in metal. Like, you try to hold my hand and let me take you on this journey through all my fucking riffs. And it's like, you're asking a lot. It's a hard listen. You hear a new metal song and you're like, yeah, this is cool. And in the back of your mind, I got to listen to the song like 8 times to get it. Mm-hmm. And you do, and you'll love it. It's like, it's a badass song. It's one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. But it took you like 8 times, And,
so would you say that like metal music has sort of like hit a wall? Have we sort of progressed? Are we sort of done progressing?
That's the problem. I think we are. It's the law of diminishing returns. We're trying to go so far and we're getting less back. We gotta stick to what we know, what makes metal. And you take those things and try to give the best performance. If everyone out there just played simple metal, but their performance was at an elite level, these songs would be profound. They'd be like nuts. I mean, you listen to hip hop, you listen to pop, you listen to even all Mexican music, all the stuff. It's always the recycled music. But what separates some of those bands, the top bands, from the rest of the bands, is that they have the quality, the performance. Maybe the voice just has that, the snare. It's just like, whoa. And that's what we need to capture in metal again, to be able to bring in more fans, Wow. And just so it's an easy listen. The first time you hear it, you're just like, God damn. You ever hear a song and you're just like, man, that's a badass song. And you don't know why. And it's just because it's simple. It's easy. It's the same shit, It's practice.
As long as the meat and potatoes of the song fucking rocks, who cares about all the extra frilly shit? You've got Duke Nukem playing in the background there. Now people still play Duke Nukem, and it's not because of the graphics, it's because of the gameplay. It is an awesome game. It plays very well. They don't need to change that. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, I'm sort of taking your point and comparing it with video games.
You're right. And it's the same inherent thing. Like, think about all the best first-person shooters. They all really rely on the basic things, And it's the delivery, the way you get the package. So they give you nice new guns, easier triggers. It's just more accessible. So they want you to just enjoy it right off the bat. As opposed to metal, these songs are complex, and you really got to learn this game. You got to learn how to use the oh man, reloading. You have to press R and then man, this sucks. I mean, you'll get to it. No, dude, you just want to get boom into it.
Wow, what a great point. That's awesome. So hey, Henry, let me go back in time a little bit. Let's jump back to the beginning of Witchhaven. So I'd like to know how Witchhaven sort of got started in Southern California in the late 2000s, and tell me about your friendship with Lurby Sanchez, the drummer. About how did you guys get started together, and how did you guys form Witchhaven together?
Well, the band Witchhaven, it was me and my buddy Tommy, and we're from high school friends, and we had a buddy Gethsemane, and another friend Raymond, and basically, it was me and Tommy. We just wanted to do the whole, Venom cover band. Really, what we wanted to do, our objective was to play Venom songs in all the backyards in our neighborhood. Because at the time, it was a crazy landscape in music. This was in the time where people were still into music with guitars and distortion and shit like that.
About what year are we talking here?
We're talking about, man, 2005, 2000. Okay. No, I'm maybe 2006 or 7.
Okay. Okay.
And Yeah, and this is MySpace era, so we're all kind of finding each other, and but that's the thing. That was the beauty of it. It was a MySpace era, and we're all finding each other on the internet, but that hasn't really gone full throttle at the time. So what happened? You'd be a local kid, and you go to shows, and out here in Southern California, there was just an endless sea of crazy stuff going on. So you could go to the Corona and go to the showcase to see the punk bands and the hardcore bands, or you could go to LA and catch some of the more obscure stuff. And at the time, European metal was at its peak. That's like the truest metal that was kind of around, like let's say like Dimmu Borgir, Nightwish, power metal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then in America was all that American stuff like Atreyu and As I Lay Dying, as you guys were talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Hatebreed,
Okay.
And then there was bands kind of sprouting up in the underground. Maybe in the forefront of that was like 3 Inches of Blood, but even past that was Municipal Waste and like Toxic Holocaust. And while all of that was going on, some of the main 80s bands are kind of trying to like figure themselves out if they're gonna do the whole retro thing. And that's when you had Creator come out with Enemy of God, they were kind of doing that. And you had Exodus, Temple of the Damned. And it was just a crazy time, man. It was fucking such a weird time. And so as me as a listener, I was like, oh man, that's just the bad shit. Anyway, so back to the topic. Yeah, we started trying to do a Venom tribute band. We kind of sucked at what we did. So we're like, let's write something that we can play ourselves. And so we tried going as a witching hour. That's what we were called. And then it turns out there's like on MySpace we found out there's hella witching hour bands. Even a black thrash band was called.
It's a good name.
Yeah. So we're like, man, that sucks. We're so like, we're already like set on the whole witching hour, and we still wanted that whole Venom vibe. So I was like, why don't we do Witchhaven, which is kind of like a game like Duke Nukem. It's a game I played in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds close enough to witching hour, fuck it, right? But yeah, boom, that's what we did. There wasn't much thinking about it. Oh, there's a band called Witching Hour? Cool. Well, how could we keep that and, have the same feeling? Well, there's Witchhaven. All right, cool, we're Witchhaven now. And so anyways, those are the guys in the band. It kind of worked out for two demos.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're trying to get more serious because then we're seeing everyone doing the things. I remember seeing Joe and all you guys up there in the Bay. Early Hatchet and Fog of War, and there's a couple of names I was trying to remember. Of course, Sacramento had Devastator, and then out here in LA we had Fueled by Fire, Merciless Death, Malicious Assault, and it was really going off. And I was like, oh shit, man, it's happening. It's weird that we all thought of it at the same time without talking to each other. This is good. It's a wild thing. And then
was it because some of the bigger bands were starting to get a little heavier again, as you mentioned? You had sort of Megadeth trying to re-enter the thrash, and a lot of these bands were trying to come back. Do you think it was because of that, or vice versa?
I don't know, man. There was something going on, so I really don't know. All of us came from listening to like Disturbed and Korn, to trying to play some fucking hyper obscure thrash. I don't know, the aesthetic. It clicked with us, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I think, but something happened. Something was going on in that time that made us want to lead into kind of a more fast and aggressive way, but done in the old style. Because it's not like the grindcore bands, the death metal bands weren't around. We knew about them. You know what I mean? Cannibal Corpse was fucking huge, so we knew fast. Mm-hmm. But something about just and that's what I was telling you guys earlier. You got to capture that sound. There's something about it. We heard it the first time. We're like, that's badass. And you know what it was? It was Metallica and Megadeth. We all probably heard those bands while we listened to fucking, Godsmack. We heard Metallica, and then something about Metallica was a little cooler,
Yeah.
And so I guess that something caught us. And then at that time, Slayer was also in style, in the sense that if you listen to Slayer, everyone's like, whoa, man, you listen to some crazy shit there. He's like, yeah, man, I listen to Slayer. You walk around and you see a guy with a Slayer shirt, and you're like, Slayer! And they're like, wow! And that's when like they had the God hates us all. It's so crazy. I remember I went to school with a Slayer shirt, and I got suspended for wearing one. Everyone was wearing all sorts of crazy shit. There was all these kids, wearing Korn shirts, looking all sorts of crazy. But my Slayer shirt was so fucking crazy that they were like, no, man, you gotta, this is that we draw the line at Slayer, because it had God hates us all. I had the Bible and the
There we
cross
go.
was nailed
Okay.
into it.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, and that shit was like back then it was nuts. Everyone was like, "Whoa, what is this? What is
You
this?"
know,
And I
it
think
came out on
that hit
September
us.
11th too. You know that,
Yeah, I
right?
know, right? Yeah,
Fucking weird.
right. That was such a crazy time. And
Yeah.
so I think that's what was happening. I think Slayer and Metallica they were popular enough for all of us to know they were there.
Mhm.
And I think that kind of just that planted the seed in our heads that yeah, there's some crazy metal out there that is more pleasing to the ears. And it's not so rough around the edges like death metal and grind, but
Mhm.
it's not so polished like hardcore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, and so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, and then so fast forward how I got to Larry. Larry's my cousin, and Larry was he's a drummer. He was a punk rocker, and he didn't listen to metal at all. Like absolutely no metal. He listened to crazy crust punk
Oh.
and all the craziest punk rock stuff. And so he was in a major, huge punk rock scene in Southern California. And like these were huge scenes. They even had the massive festival called British Invasion. There was riots
Wow.
and a bunch of cops got hospitalized. They flipped over cars. So it's funny, it's like it was kind of like the
Damn.
whole riots happening right now. But it was with punks only. And anyways, Larry was part of that whole world. And I kind of was like, hey man, I'm trying. I got WITCHAVEN trying to get this thing going. And yeah, I mean, he was all about it. He just, we've always jammed with each other. We were in a band together years ago called Sven Hearts. It was like a heavy metal band, Iron Maiden worship. And so yeah, it was not. It was like it felt like love. We've been playing with each other for years. So there you go. Joe, how you living, man?
I'm living good. Did we lose JP again?
Yeah, we're losing him. He's always shocked. I always dumbfounded with the crazy things that I tell him.
When I first met you guys, that was up at Gilman, and you had the first lineup. And yeah, Lurby wasn't around. Was Lurby the second drummer?
Yeah, Larry was the second drummer.
Okay, because yeah, then you guys started coming back around, and I think that was when the scene was still kind of, we were a little scattered just a little bit when you guys first came up. But I remember sitting in your guys' car. You tapped me to buy you beer. I think
Yeah.
Eliminator asked me what was his name? Your guitar player. I think he was the bass player. What's that?
Yeah, somewhat. Oh wait,
it was Gemini, right? You said what was his name?
Gethsemane, yeah.
Yeah, I just said yeah. My bad.
Gemini.
He
The guy with the dreads. The guy with the dreads.
Yeah.
Was it the dude with the dreads? Yeah.
Yeah. He asked me to buy you guys beer, and I was like, all right, yeah, whatever. And I went and drank beer with you guys, and you guys were all still. The team was still learning the music, And I think that was like when Marcus and everybody, we were still kind of pulling together, and we still didn't quite know each other. And that was like you said before, MySpace really popped up. When we realized that this was a tool, it was almost an accident how it happened. Like, oh, look at these guys. And then we realized that's the go-to. Like, hey, you want to get WITCHAVEN to play? Hit them on their MySpace.
Yeah.
And
it's funny, right? That was a communication tool. That's how we all found out each other. And I think that's everyone had like it was crazy seeing some kids in like the same area, Southern California. You would never meet them otherwise. But then on MySpace, you see them and they're rocking the shirts and got the gear, and you're like, oh shit, what the fuck? I've been trying to do this my whole life. What the hell?
Where the hell have you been?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's like
I'm back. Thank you for. Sorry, I left for a minute. Now I'm back.
yeah.
So,
cool.
I just now that you're hooked up with Lurby, you're playing.
Oh, we got him. Come on, we bring him back.
There it is.
That's
it's
cool.
the same pose too. He likes to hit that same pose.
Yeah, it's always got it.
What show is this? Does this look familiar to you?
Yeah, well, Eric's in the band, and so that means Larry's in the band, and I think that would be either Mark or George. This is kind of more in the. This has to be like 2010 or 11 even.
I remember George. George was a cool dude.
Yeah, he was a great dude, man. He got down. Eric was also a great guy. All those guys are good. Freaking.
Yeah, I
I don't remember what service was. Yeah, dude, it was good times.
I mean, I had fun times with all you guys. I mean, just you guys came up and you did Slaughter by the Water.
Yeah, that was a great time, dude. Freaking Started by the Water. That was nuts, right? Remember that? Dude,
That was you
crazy.
guys just did the. It was only the second one, right? It was down the one that was actually on that big building in Richmond.
Yeah, that was cool, man. And then the one on the boat, that was righteous. That was good times. It's crazy, man. The thing about the Bay, man, there was always this magic out there. It was like the little bit like the crumbs left over from the 80s. And we came in, ate it all up. I remember my first trip to the Bay Area. We show up to Gilman. We're early. And we're right across the street, by that Pyramid Brewery or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was this fucking guy. There was this homeless dude. And he sees us step out. And he's like, whoa, what the hell? And we're like, what's up? And he's like, you guys look like you came out of like a time machine. And we're like, oh, yeah, because we had the long hair, the vest. And he's like, damn, man. He was like, you guys look like how I used to look. And I was like, oh, damn, And he's like, yeah, well, none of us look like that anymore. And he's like, yeah, and don't believe the hype. He started talking about Les Claypool and all that stuff, and Nirvana. And he's like, yeah, people try to blame funk bass and grunge for killing thrash. And he was like, that's not true. Crank killed thrash. And he was like, by the way, you guys got any crank? And I was like, nah, I don't have any. I was like, well, damn. that was the thing. Yeah, and that was we stopped talking to him. We're like, hey, man, we're gonna get away.
We're just trying to go get a beer and a burger. Pyramid. You're kind of freaking me out there, buddy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Good.
But yeah, it was a great introduction to the Bay, man. Jesus Christ.
Wow, man. Did funk bass kill thrash? Is that a common
I
argument?
think he had something going. I don't think so, dude.
Okay, because I like that album, Death Angel Act 3. It's got all sorts of funk bass in there. You got Suicidal Tendencies. Come on. All right.
Yeah, funk bass.
Yeah, sorry about my connection, guys. I'm kind of going in and out.
Yeah, damn, dude. You gotta turn off all your phones and stuff,
Unprofessional. Sorry about that. So to get back on track here. So anyway, it's around 2010 you guys released Terror Storm, right?
Yeah.
What was the scene like around LA around that time? I know it was very active with thrash bands. You had Fueled by Fire, Bonded by Blood, and stuff like that. Not to talk any shit, but Jose from Bonded by Blood was on the show a few weeks ago, and he said there was a bit of sort of friendly rivalry between the LA kind of thrash bands. Was there anything like that as far as Witchhaven goes? Do you guys have any not beef, but some kind of like friendly rivalry maybe?
For us, here's the thing. We were like, I guess the way I could put it, it's like the jack of all trades. Like we do everything, but we're good at nothing. So basically, what happened in that sense is that everyone liked us, but just not that much. So it was just like everyone liked us. I mean, every show we would be hit up for absolutely every single show.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, we got to get Witchhaven. It's just that you guys, either aren't going to headline or you're going to play last. And it was like, whatever, cool, we were like cool with everybody. Everyone loved us, and every band, even like the kind of more like elite bands, they were like still like, oh yeah, but these guys are a little different, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, and even like the more, say like kind of like Bonded by Blood and Ex Mortis, mm-hmm. They're kind of more trying to go for more, not a radio, but more of a friendlier sound. Not even, that's kind of a weird way to say it, but more easy for the ears for newer listeners. They kind of had that sound, you know what I mean? And they even would ask us to be like, yeah, come on the shows, And but so I mean, for us in terms of rivalry, there wasn't really any rivalry for us because no one was doing the black thrash thing, really. Like, I mean, there were bands who were doing the satanic kind of like possess kind of thing, but I don't think any of them really wore the black thrash banner like we fucking did, where we're gonna take straight fucking Emperor and Dark Throne and mix it with Slayer. There were bands who were like, we want to sound like Possessed, or something like that. Like bands like Execution. I don't know if you remember them, Joe. And then
I do remember Execution.
Yeah. And then there was Unholy Lust, but they were kind of more, like I said, death metal-y, more, like I said, not they were evil. They were evil bands, but they weren't like, yeah, we're gonna take that Norwegian, the raw cold sound and mix it with thrash. That probably happened way later, you know, probably much probably like 2012, 14, some shit like that.
I know when I first heard you guys, it was definitely a shock. You know, I'm like, whoa, what is, you know, I'm not being a big black metal guy. I mean, I do listen to a little bit of black metal, but it's really choice. You know, it's probably the most popular black metal just because I'm not really, just never really was my thing. But watching you guys do it, man, it was like a real sonic assault, especially with you guys doing it fast and thrashy. You know, I was like, it made me want to check it out. You're like, you guys covered Dark Throne, I believe. One of the first times I saw you, or one of the first times I really noticed you, and I went home and checked that shit out. You know, it's I was like, all right, what am I missing here? If these guys are that into it and mixing thrash in there, you know, like what am I missing? And you guys were the only people doing it. I didn't see, you know, I knew a couple black metal bands, but they were kind of, you know, one not very serious about it. Like I knew a one-man black metal band that was kind of cheesy, but I mean, sometimes that black metal thing kind of, you know, it's kind of a little cheesy. But and I knew a bunch of kids who love that stuff, you know, and I don't know. Then you had you guys coming up here, and I think you guys are the only people in California really doing it.
Yeah, I think we were the only ones doing it in all of the U.S. really at that time.
All the travels that you did, you haven't come across anybody else that was doing
at that time
thrash metal.
At that time, no. And the only bands that were doing it were in Europe. So there was a plethora, and that was huge at that time. That's why it was blowing my mind. Where, you know, Europe had this massive scene of black thrash. There was Nocturnal Breed, Aura Noir, Bestial Mockery. There was Witching Hour, old. So many bands that were doing just the pure extreme black metal mixed with thrash, and that was a European thing. And then so that's why out there we were making some rumblings, like people were talking about us, and that's why a European label put out our records, and there was just funny stuff like that, you know. Funny enough, we've never been to Europe though. What the hell, you know?
But they love you out there.
Yeah, they love us out there. It's funny.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we got a lot. I always get stuff in the mail like, hey, someone just bootlegging a bunch of your shirts and patches out in Germany. Oh, cool. Bring them up. Send them. And I was like, you're not mad? I was like, why? Why would I be mad? Who cares? Jesus Christ.
I'm mad they didn't send me one. Yeah.
Oh, I'm really pissed you made $200. Like, I'm really worried about those.
Dude, if they made $200, that is a fucking huge score for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, man. So yeah, once again, I'm back. Hey guys. So I keep trying to rewind a little bit, but so you guys are always sort of been known as like a political sort of band.
Yes.
Controversial sort of themes, subjects. Have you received any pushback from like friends, fans, even, or maybe even like family? You know, for sort of the things you talk about, the things you depict.
When we were putting it out, man, they hated it. They hated all of it. Like, so a lot of guys were like, I want metal, not some freaking like Dr. Phil stuff. And I was like, whatever, man. But fortunately, what we said, a lot of the stuff that we were talking about has aged very well, in the sense that when we were talking about it at that time, it was considered conspiracy theory. And now it's kind of common knowledge, like, oh yeah, you know, Monsanto is pretty bad. Look at all the guys who have cancer now, you know, Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. And then the whole I remember we did the whole police violence song and stuff, and that was way before right now. And now it's common. Oh yeah, contradicts. Yeah. And then another one was we did a lot of songs, like we did like songs about mind control and drug addictions, and you know, we were conspiracy theory, but we weren't like we weren't trying to be so like they're gonna chip you in the Freemasons, you know. We did talk about like there are, you know, secret society stuff that, you know, that is in the subterranean level, so where we don't see. But we weren't so like headstrong on that stuff. And then another thing is we try to be I think our conspiracies were more along the lines of something like anarcho-punk conspiracy, which was more about human rights, globalization, the environment and stuff like that. And so what's funny is we play thrash and black metal, but because of our subjects, we were really taken in by the punk scene because of like they were like, yeah, man, I love your guys' message. I love that you guys are all about equality and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I mean, what the hell? Like, why not? And that shit's all kind of funny. It's funny how all that has happened. And back then, I remember we get a lot of push, and some people get really mad about it. And we'd always have issues every now and then, but really, it was never that big of an issue. Like to me personally, where it affected me as a musician, as a writer, it was never an issue. The only time that I think politics is an issue, I think, is now. Like really, like I think I don't even. One thing I was telling the guys, if our new music is, I don't think we're gonna focus on anything political these days. Nothing necessarily specific, because I think everything that needed to be said, we kind of already said it. Everything I really want to say about what's wrong with the world, I kind of already said that. So if you try to go in there now with that mentality, it's kind of a touchy subject, mostly because some of the things that you're saying have been adopted by groups that you really don't want to be associated with. Like some of the things. Oh, what's funny? Some of my there was one time where we had an issue. Some of our lyrics, I guess we were gonna play at Obscene Extreme. We're set up. We're gonna book the whole thing. We're about ready to buy flights, and then I guess the guy who puts it all on, he's like, hey. He was like, can I get a copy of your lyrics? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I was like, huh? And he starts reading him, and he's like, yeah. He's like, I thought so. And he's like, you guys are neo-Nazis. And we're like, no, we're not neo-Nazis. And he's like, yeah, well, all this stuff that you're talking about, this is exactly what neo-Nazis sing about. And I was like, oh. And he was like, well, yeah, you guys are off the show. Boom, that's it.
See, I was just going to ask you that. Do you feel like you've lost any opportunities directly because of your lyrics? But this guy just seems very misunderstood.
Yeah, but it's because it's Europe. The politics are different. Out there talking the way you talk. Out here, it's liberal left to sing that way. But out there is super right wing, which is insanity, bro. Insanity, So whatever. Crazy things, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a shame to think that you have lost opportunities or fans or anything like that due to the lyrics, especially if someone just straight up misunderstood them.
Yeah. Well, I kind of get his thing. He's like, he doesn't want to be, and the thing is, we also had that black metal thing on us, and black metal is very touchy in Europe. It's like, ugh, these guys are singing about this New World Order stuff, and they're black metal. You guys need to play another festival, not this one. And I understand because you never know. Look at the way the world is today. Everyone's getting canceled. Imagine they're like, well, Obscene Extreme had WITCHAVEN, a Nazi-affiliated band who has come out as full throttle racist. Whoa! I was like, yeah. I was like, whoa! they don't want that. And it's like, yeah, full throttle racist right here, man.
Let me switch gears a little bit because you said New World Order and it got me excited. You were talking to two very big wrestling fans. I know that you are a big wrestling fan yourself.
Yeah, dude.
What are some of the? I know you've attended a lot of wrestling shows throughout your illustrious career. What are some of the cooler wrestling shows you've seen live?
I think, you know what? The best wrestling shows I've ever seen live is NXT. They put on the best shows because it is unfiltered wrestling. It doesn't have the man touch where, he wants that storytelling and he wants everything slowed down. But
it's got like an indie feel, right?
Yeah, it's got the indie feel, but with the $1 million budget, which is nuts, because the screens and just the sound. I've gone to AEW stuff, and I love their wrestling more, and I like their storylines more.
Yeah.
But NXT has a better product, you know what I mean, in terms of production.
Right.
And just the high level when they do the takeovers, man, it's an event, and it has this feeling. It's really cool. And the one things I did notice is it's the small things, it's the small things. Like, AEW, they have they have cool wrestlers and all that, but their entrances always felt a little lackluster. And not to bash on them, but they always felt like just very basic steak and potatoes. Like we're getting it just done, a little bit of fireworks and just
The music's a little generic too, right?
Yeah, very generic.
Yeah.
And then the sound, as a musician, I think they don't really, they're wrestlers, and so maybe they weren't really thinking about that as much. But as a musician, I could tell, the sound, they're not really trying to go out for an all-out feeling. And when NXT would come out, man, the dynamics of the sound, the speakers were just so loud. The rumbling of the subwoofers was just like, whoa, it knocked you back.
Oh,
really
in the actual arena.
Yeah, because you felt like, oh man, this is like, it felt like a gladiator coming in. It's like, I was like, whoa, dude. And but to top all of that, man, I've been to a couple of Raws, and the production at the main roster, fuck, dude, it's just insanity. How high level, that's like each production feels like an insane $1 million production, and yeah, when you hear when I saw Randy Orton come out, and when Seth Rollins comes out in the fire, you just feel the heat. It's fucking nuts, dude. You're just like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but I mean, that doesn't beat the indie stuff. I still love the indie stuff, probably a little more watching that,
Yeah, have you do you go to the high school gyms and sort of pack in there with the rest of them, these small crowds, and watch these indie shows?
Not so much because they don't really do that out here in Southern California as much. But I've been to a couple more they have them at unused theaters,
Yeah,
you get what I'm saying? A lot of, they have them at just basically what would have been a fucking a theater where they would do plays and stuff. You feel me? They're mid-sized theaters.
That's a cool place to see wrestling.
Yeah. So it's always the stage is always the entrance. They go into the pit, and that's usually where the ring is. And all the fans are usually on one side of the building, on the tiers and stuff. So that's always cool, and it's got a vibe, It feels cool, and I've seen some crazy wrestlers. It's nice, badass. Some guys.
Have you met any nice wrestlers, or anybody? Has anybody been nice to you off stage?
They all seem to be nice. They seem to be chill. The vibe isn't even. In fact, maybe if you're gonna compare, these guys are very humble compared to some of the assholes in our fucking thrash scene back in the day. Remember those guys? Yeah, no, those guys are.
I've met a couple. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, no, these guys are I'm a wrestler. And I think there's something about the way they work, because if you go to a wrestling show, it's exactly like a metal show. You go out there, you perform, you do your set, which they do their moves, and then at the end you get real quick to the merch table and try to sell everything you got. And with them, it's just a one-man crew. Us, we got a band, we got the band plus 2 friends. Them, it's just usually just them in a duffel bag. And so they do the wrestling, they dry off, and they go to the ring during intermission, and they set up the merch table, and they're trying to talk to everybody, and you can work deals with them, hey man, could I get a signature and a picture? And he's like, it's gonna be 50. He's like, well, I only got 40. All right, let's do it, and he'll be we'll take a picture, and it's kind of
how accessible they are. Yeah,
and it's just crazy, man, these guys are hustlers, and it's just crazy world that they live, crazy. And a lot of them,
a lot of guys gotta have drunk people go into at the merch table, just hot breath in their face, talking about how much of a sick set they just played, and oh man, I'm putting myself in those poor indie wrestlers' shoes. Good for them.
Yeah, and it's kind of a weird dynamic, right? Because you could be one of those wrestlers where everyone was booing the fuck out of you. You know what I mean? But people still
and then they want to get a picture.
Hey, dude, you were badass. You lost really good. I was yeah, thanks, dude.
On the I don't know if it was the end of your guys' last tour, but you, me, Hippie, the Witchhaven guys, and that band Deathblow, we went to an indie wrestling match.
Oh yeah, that was badass. One of the best too. It was really fun.
Yeah, no, it was out in the middle of the industrial park, and I took them all out there, and We were a little wild. I piled them all into my van, my
Yeah,
Ford
we're
van.
drunk as fuck. We finished a couple bottles of the Jaeger, and then we had vodka shots. And then to go into the actual wrestling, we had a bunch of IPAs that we just had. You know, it was nuts.
Oof.
And
Yeah,
we were
that-
surviving because of the pizza we ate. We're all stuffed on pizza, so
Yeah,
it's
they
all
all came to the
soaking in real
pirate.
slow.
It was a fun time though. You guys brought a lot of energy, and I know everyone. We almost got kicked out because they knew that everyone was really hammered. But since everyone was
Yeah.
in such good spirits and wasn't starting anything, you guys were chanting names and stuff, and it was a good time. I did decide myself. I was like, all right, this is the night I go to jail.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, it was feeling that way, wasn't it? It was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, we brought the energy and the chanting, and that's kind of what you got. Like that's how the shows are out. You know what I mean? Like it's real loud. You got to be real loud. And I think wrestling, the difference between wrestling and like say like a metal show, is which it shouldn't be because metal used to be this way, but it's the interaction with the crowd. I feel like the only bands that kind of do that still are like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, where Rob Halford's like, yeah. You know what I mean? When now you see a band, they're just like, this is fucking, this the exploitation of the prerogative, death and machines, and blah, blah, blah. Like, their song is just like, yeah.
Why
like,
are they all shy?
Yeah, and it's just like, or the worst one I hate is like, like, what did he say? Like, do I even care?
No, he just stays fully in character between songs.
Yeah, and he's like, and when he's doing that, I'm just like, yeah, that's.
I've always
and then I look at my home. This song's badass, right?
I've always liked the live sets where the guys all talking all normal. Like, all right, guys, this is about not being censored and and just loving each other.
Yeah.
So this next song is about human rights.
Yeah, I love that. It's sad that they don't have enthusiasm. It's like there's no enthusiasm. It's just like, man, it's just like, or they do have. They don't. The thing is, they don't have enthusiasm, but they're somehow asking a lot from the fans. Like, all right, everybody, I want you guys to cheer, sing along. I was like, sing what along? Like, I've never heard this fucking song before. Like, the fuck?
Yeah.
They
get mad and they're like, why are you standing there with your arms crossed? Let's see a fucking pit. But they're not bringing the fucking noise.
Yeah. It's like, everybody to the front. And it's like, well, when you say it that way, I don't know if I want to go to the front now,
Why don't you go to the front? Let me see you do it first.
Funny enough, though, which is fucking crazy. That's another thing, a crazy aspect of the bands, the resurgence that we had, was everyone had it. Everyone, all the front guys, they had it. Fucking Josh, remember? And fucking like Marcus, and even what's his name, Tyler from Devastated. Everyone had like the enthusiasm. Fucking, me and Fueled by Fire, Jose by Bonded by Blood. Everyone had that. Like, I don't know, they just had it. They knew how to fucking wrangle the crowd in. The front man was always like a huge thing. It was crazy. Like Vector, you had David. Even though he was shy, he had it though. He had people in the palm of his hands. Same thing with
this is why 10 years later that we still talk about these bands when we look back at the sort of the top tier of this re-thrash kind of thing. You know what I mean? There's a reason for that.
It's crazy, right? It's crazy. What the hell were we doing? What was it that made us that way? I always try to ponder about it. I try to think of like what the fuck had us just kind of going above and beyond with our art. And it was like no one was asking us, and it wasn't like so much of a when we all first started, it wasn't because we're trying to be popular, because we're literally playing music that no one liked. And the only reason we found each other was and we were enthusiastic about it was like, holy shit, there's other weirdos that like the shit like me. Like, what the fuck? And it's not saying that we discovered metal, because metal was always around. There was always weirdos. There was punk too. That shit always existed. But the fact that, people were into thrash that much and we're kind of doing it pretty good is crazy, man. If you go back and listen to go watch, I've done this a handful of times. Go to that one guy's YouTube channel, which every video is 280p.
Yeah.
Right, John Rudeness.
but-
Let's give him a shout out, everybody. Rudeness, John
Yeah,
Rudeness. You're the
Rudeness.
man. He shows up at every show and films with 2 fucking cameras, and he uploads that shit every weekend. Props to
Yeah.
John Rudeness. Go on, Henry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, John. Yeah, him, man. Oh man, we gotta thank him. Unfortunately, our man, I don't know. One day we got to go to him and we got to get all his stuff and somehow see if we could upscale all his videos. Because I know at the time, remember, it was a hard time. It was a hard time because the cameras weren't good. Camera phones were like shit back then. YouTube was also kind of a bitch. It's like, hey man, this is a big file. We don't want this here. You know, remember that time when YouTube was like 3 minutes, dude? 3 minutes.
So John Rudeness. No, I don't want to throw him under the bus here, but he did tell me something that very much upset me. He's aware of the quality of his videos and how they're 280p or whatever. But he has an HD camera, and I was talking to him, and and this was like 6 years ago or 7 years ago. He told me, I'm not ready to switch over.
Really? Well,
When are you going to be ready? It's 6 years later. He still hasn't switched over, and they're still 280p. He has a fucking HD camera. But I don't want to talk too much shit because I'm very thankful for John Rudeness.
Well, maybe at least he got it.
You got it.
I
You
still
got it
watch VHS movies, you know. I mean, I'm too afraid of them DVDs, you know.
Yeah. Hey, the movies are great. They fucking look and sound great. It's just that these pixelated videos. Either way, the thing is, at least we know it happened. We could see that shit. That was real. That was the time was real.
It wasn't a dream, man. It actually did happen.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a dream.
You were there, and you were there, and you were there.
So Henry, what's going on with WitchHaven right now in 2020? I know in 2019 you guys released an EP. It was Tower of Conviction. You guys did a show. You guys were celebrating it. I think that was kind of right before you went into the hospital, if I'm not totally.
Yeah. So
I might be off base here. But what's going on with WitchHaven 2020? And tell us about Tower of Conviction that came out last year.
So Tower of Conviction was kind of like us kind of continuing along with our path, trying to do the whole ultra metal thing, which is a great EP. We also had a split that we did with a Colombian band. And we're gonna go on our crusade and do the thing, continue taking over the world. It's kind of a blessing in disguise, though. I will not lie. At the time, I was super bloated, man. I was way drunk, and I think the performance. Well, no, I don't think. I know for a fact the performance was just not up to par. It was starting to feel like these guys are 30 years old, washed up and drunk, because it was just like, I could tell, it was getting stagnant. The same songs, we're playing the same songs because we're drunk and we just don't take the effort to like do anything new. And so me getting sick, maybe gives perspective. You can always look back at it and be like, oh yeah, now I'm feeling better, more lean, maybe the way I should be, and sober. Even though that might be a weird thing with metal, I guess being sober is funny, right? But I mean, look at all the bands that go sober. Remember when Metallica went sober?
You're talking to 2 other dudes that went sober too. We both got 2 years of sobriety.
We're all on the
Yeah,
wagon.
really, dude. That's fucking nuts, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Look at us. We're old now, dude.
I know
Doing it.
Yeah. No. It's actually a good thing. We caught it at the right time. There's a lot of people who haven't caught it, and and there are people who never had the chance and they just died. So. You get what I'm saying?
Henry, I just want to jump in real quick. Since you stopped drinking, do you find it a little... have you been able to sort of give any advice to anybody else that might try to stop drinking? It's a little weird, right? Because we're in this thrash metal kind of lifestyle, and we all get fucking drunk. That's just what we do, right? We party, we drink, we smoke weed, we do all the shit. But once you take away the alcohol, it's like... We've talked about this, how it's so romanticized, alcohol, with the music we play and the whole scene we're in. Like,
yeah.
How do you think that you'd be someone who would just you don't want to sound preachy, right? But you do want to talk about the benefits of not drinking alcohol. Yeah. So like, how do you walk that line? Is there any way that do you see yourself sort of being almost sounds weird, but like a role model for a young thrasher?
You know what? Maybe I think that's all up to them to find themselves. And I think the only time we'll step in is when you identify yourself within somebody. So if I see somebody really like drowning in alcohol to the point where, Because I know I've lived it, so I could identify it. If I see somebody kind of just like, no, this guy isn't drinking to have a good time. This guy's drinking to live, And then that's when I'll try to step in and tell him, hey, man, I don't know what I will do. I can't really say because every situation is unique in itself. You can't just go out to somebody and be like, you should probably stop drinking. That's probably the worst. It's like telling someone who's suicidal, there's a lot to live for, man. You know what I mean? You should think it's like, dude, you telling them that, they're gonna be like, boom, right? You know what I mean? Like, no, don't do that. Like, dude, you gotta come at it differently. But I will try to do something and maybe tell them, see what I could, you feel it out and see what you can say, and that's the best you can do. But in terms of like watching other people drink, I've seen people been drinking for hella years and they're completely fine as long as they still got the jobs and they're still doing good for themselves. Then that's all on them, and then it just comes down to a health thing. That's also all on them. I'm not going to tell someone, hey, don't eat those cheeseburgers and pizzas. It's going to give you a heart attack. Like, well, the same thing with like, hey, you shouldn't drink those beers. You're gonna fucking you're gonna fuck up your liver or something. If they want to do that, that's fine. It's when you identify it and you see it's kind of like an issue. It's like, bro, you need to stop, man. You're not working anymore. You're fucking everything up. That's when you should probably step in. Because the alcohol and metal is kind of hand in hand.
Right.
But I mean, it's at the same time, you don't need it. I like songs about alcohol and metal. Like I listen to it, and as an addict, you talk about how there's like triggers, things that make you want to drink again. There are some times where like, man, it'd be great to have a beer, but they're very, it's like my will to live is stronger than that, So it's not that hard, Like there's sometimes like I think one of the most recent times I kind of felt like, man, I wanted a beer real bad. Was I was feeling optimistic. It was the weekend. It's fucking Saturday morning, and I have been listening to other kinds of music, and out of nowhere, my girl puts on Rat Round and Round, and then we start listening to Ozzy, and we start listening to just a lot of badass hair metal, and then it just hit me. I was like, ooh, it went up my arms and into like the back of my spine. I was like, man, I want that beer, It's Saturday, it's 10 a.m., crack a beer. I got the whole day ahead of me. It's a perfect time to fucking just sip on a beer. And then I thought about it, and then I thought, but what does that entail? By 1 o'clock, I'm going to feel like shit. I'm going to start getting anxious, and then I'm going to feel bloated and shitty and tired. 3 o'clock, I'm going to just feel like ass, and then, also in my mind as well, I'm like, but you drink that beer, it's a death sentence, so don't do it.
Wow.
And, but you got to find new things. And wrestling has really been one of those things that kind of like invigorates me without the alcohol. Everyone's drinking around me, but I didn't really get into it as much as I am now with alcohol. So like watching wrestling without the alcohol, it's fucking badass. The feeling's there. Video games are cool. Yeah. But just like, I don't know, just finding stuff that's fun. And you know what? Playing music is fucking badass. Picking up guitars and shit. It's cool. And just kind of being there.
Do you feel? Thank you for being so honest, man. I really, really appreciate it. Do you ever pick up the guitar and you sort of used to having a beer next to it, and you're like, man, this is.
Do you know what's crazy, man? With the beer, I picked up the guitar way less, and I'd have the guitar on me, and I play, but the alcohol kept me from going further. If you get what I'm saying.
Wow.
I understand that fully. That's
like you're on the guitar and you're drinking. I was like, I need one more beer to really find a song, but you're really not finding shit. You're just getting more far behind, and then you're so fucking drunk. You're just like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Wow, man.
With being sober, it's like you're more on your left side of your brain. The left side is the creative side. It starts really working, and you're like, I could do this. This sound better, and then you got more perspective. You're just like, this sounds a little convoluted, a little bit too, just, and you could go back and do that when you're sober, I feel, or at least for me personally.
Sorry, I got us off track a little bit there, but we brought up the subject of alcohol, and it's very interesting to me because, as Joe mentioned, both of us, we've been sober for a couple of years, and talking to a fellow metalhead that's cleaned up a bit. It's very interesting, and I always have a lot of questions. But
Yeah,
got a little
yeah.
sidetracked there. So please tell us about what's going on with Witchhaven in 2020.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
the original. That was the original thing.
Right. Well, right now with Witchhaven, we're still jamming. We're there.
Mhm.
We had these songs, like I said, we had them written. I'm not sure if we're gonna use any of them. I really don't know. We're kind of at a crossroads. But personally, me as a musician, I feel like I could do better in terms of writing music and doing other projects and just being around other music. I realized, you know what? The music that we have written now is kind of tough for me to fit in good vocals and just kind of really make it nice and catchy because there's a lot of riff and then I got to squeeze in some parts to sing. I want to go in and start over and write a whole new album from start to finish and really get a new approach of songwriting and try to write some songs, some fucking catchy shit and do all the cliche, all the stuff that you roll your eyes at. I want to do the good shit. That's cool. That sounds like it sounds like metal, you know what I mean? Like
like what we discussed earlier.
The sound, like so the songs that we were writing, they were songs intended with this like clear Andy Sneap, jun, 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 the nice chugging, the kicks are gonna be crystal clear. No man, fuck that. I also want to get the aesthetic of all the favorite albums that I got. So I want to write songs where it's just grinding guitars. I'm gonna try to get this pedal. It's called a PAL 800 or something. Sorry about that. And that pedal is basically it's a preamp that emulates the same sound as the JCM 800. And instead of having the nice firecracker snare that's just crispy and just really like, I want to have that old school thrash sounding like punching bag snare. The ones that, I'm talking about. That old sound. I want to have that sound. I want to get the vocals with nice reverb and just get that buttery sound that just makes it sound real good in the ear. And I want to write music to that style. And most of all, I just really want to go off with my voice. I really want to give a platform to where I could have very distinguishable sounds and you'll be like, oh man, I like that song. And you'll have people singing along with you. That's kind of what I'm trying to go for now. And so that's where we're at. That's where we're at. We're jamming. We got all our stuff. I told the guys, so we're all kind of on the same page. We just gotta. It's just right now. It's just writing, and there's no rush. It's not like.
Yeah.
I really feel like even if we did have an album ready right now, I really wouldn't want to put it out. I'm seeing bands put out everything, and it's just.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh yeah, congratulations, you have an album too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's no rush, I guess. And it's not so much finding ourselves. A big thing is it's more like going back to who we were. And I feel like we did that. What I'm talking about, we were already doing that in the beginning. And so that's what I kind of want to get back to, kind of doing that shit. But this time, instead of us trying hard to do that, now we're so skilled that we could do that, but so much more better. Like, you know what I mean? With our performance, it'll be just nice. It'll be like, whoa, this is badass.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the same mindset plus 13 plus years of experience and skill building and stuff like that.
Yeah. And just that's where it's at. Witchhaven is just ready. I mean, I want to kind of change up everything too. Get some new artwork, new artists. Not change the logo, of course, but just kind of get a fresh feel. Like, not to be a different band. It's still gonna be us. I'm still gonna sing black metal, but just kind of have like a fresh approach with kind of like a refined, more focused attitude, That's kind of what it is.
Wow, I'm super excited to hear that, and I think all the Witchhaven fans are definitely hungry for something. So that's gonna be.
I'm ready
for
it.
Man. Yeah, it's gonna be huge when it comes out. So yeah, man. Henry, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. On a personal note, Witchhaven, love you guys, and as sort of a band, being in a band, trying to come up in the thrash metal thing, we always looked up to you guys. So you guys absolutely killer. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, and I, along with everybody else, really cannot wait to hear what you guys are gonna do. So awesome,
you guys will just you'll see, it'll come. But I hope other bands are kind of like bringing it back. I hope you guys are doing some stuff too. So
I think Joe, I think you guys got something going on, right?
ZH, we're talking about getting the wheels moving. I know I'm working on Violation Wind stuff.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I'm working in a pop ska band too. So
Nice.
it's female fronted. It's actually really good. It's actually a big change to play not that fast and actually it's different. It's a different speed, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And that's what it's all about. That actually was going to really start moving right before COVID. We had a show gigged, and then COVID shut down the world.
Yeah.
And just moving up here to Sacramento area, I do have an interest in trying to find some guys up here and start something a little new. Maybe funk bass inspired, and kill thrash metal again. I don't know. I'm gonna
do it, man. That's another thing, real quick, before it's all over. I was thing why I've got this revelation is playing other styles of music. So it's kind of essential. You play other styles of music and you find the pocket of what you are as a musician, and then it helps you realize, like, man, that's what was the good shit about metal. When you play like ska or you play other styles of music, you get an appreciation, a reappreciation of why you love metal. And I think that's what I'm trying to get back to. So there you go. Always play new music.
Amen. Henry, anything else you want to plug today? Anything else you got going on in your world?
Not necessarily. I mean, I got the PlayStation 5. That's cool.
Oh shit. What?
And I got the LG screen, which is also really cool. That's all personally for me, though. I guess that.
How did you cop the PS5? Where'd you get it from?
So after it was 3 a.m., I just came back from doing my runs, and then I got back. I'm laying at home, and I'm just like, man, I've been bumming it all week because I've been trying to get PS5, but to no avail. And then I just checked BestBuy.com, and it said add to cart. I was like, well, there you go.
That's crazy because people are staying up all night trying to get this shit.
Yeah, I guess it was at a time where they were just kind of like dropping here and there.
The sweet spot.
Like, whoa, it was like 3:30. Best Buy, boom! I hit it, and I'm
gonna try it at 2:30 tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wake up my girl in the middle. I got it. And I'm like, I got the PlayStation 5. She's like, yeah. Yeah. Cool.
All right. All right. Well, Henry, we'll let you go, man. I know you're a busy guy, and once again, I know you don't do too many of these interviews, so thanks so much for joining us today. Okay.
Excellent. You guys have a good one, and you guys take care, man.
Good man.
See you, man.
All right, Henry. There he goes. What a guy.
There he goes. What a nice guy.
What a guy. This nice guy. What a guy.
Yeah, it was always a big deal when the guys came up from LA. That was 10 years ago, and especially Henry and a few of the other guys, getting to know them slowly but surely over 10 years. That's kind of special to me.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like we had like a week to bond, or I never went on tour with them. I know Hatchet did.
Mm-hmm.
But every time, it took me years to get them to stop off at Pizza Pirate. And then once they actually stopped off there, I remember one time they were there and they were playing Oakland, and they got there like, I don't know, early morning, and they hung out there like for 10 hours. I'm like trying to convince my boss, no, they're just here stopping for lunch and moving on. But no, their trailer and their vans were all outside, and they were sleeping like under the trees and inside playing Magic. It was them and Ex Mortis.
Oh shit!
It was cool.
Yeah, that just sounds like good old healthy fun.
The good old days.
Yeah. Just a nice fella. There's so many assholes in this goddamn metal scene. so you got to really appreciate the ones that are kind. Henry, I've stayed at his house. He ZH was on the road back in 2010, and we stayed at Henry's house, and we spent the night. And he was the first one awake in the morning. I remember it was like 7 in the morning. They're like really early, and all the ZH guys were asleep, but there was like music going on in the other room because Henry just woke up early, started his day partying, smoke a little weed, listen to some music. I was like, I was popping off in this room. Seemed like it was. So I went in that room and hung out for a little while. Yeah. So many. I think everyone just has so many good Witch Haven Henry memories. So
Right.
Once again, thank you to the man. Thank you to Henry for being on the show today. Big Joe, you got anything special going on this weekend?
You know what? This weekend, I really don't. Just I'm out there looking for a job. I think my vacation and my traveling is finally come to an end.
Okay.
And so I'm looking to get into something other than the pizza business. The good old 20 years at the pizza restaurant, 21 years in the industry.
Folks, if you've got an opportunity for Big Joe, please send it over to morningaftertv@gmail.com.
But just really keep my eye on the prize. Like I agree with Henry. I really think that musicians, I think maybe some of us did need a little break. But I mean, my goal is to be in the studio at least 3 times next year.
Wow, that's awesome.
And what I really think was going to happen is if all the people that were in bands now were putting the work in, what's going to happen is all this music's going to come out from all these vets who do the work, and then it's going to inspire all these kids back when we were kids, to come up and watch. There'll probably be a new resurgence. Because all this stuff's going to come out instead of whatever. It's just another thing that came out.
Do you feel a little more inspired now that we've been stuck in quarantine, kind of thing? Like sort of how Henry was discussing. He sort of hit a rock bottom and was like, oh boy, I'm coming out of this much more inspired and excited. Do you think that this lockdown has sort of done that to you? Because you sound really excited.
I'd have to say, yeah. I mean, I own a lot of guitars. I own about 13 to 14 basses and 3 guitars, and I try to play them all. And some of them are set up and tuned a certain way, and the other ones are. I'm an explorer that I sit there and try to pretend like I'm in Metallica and all that fun stuff, and I'm doing as much as I can. But also, I would have to say, even being sober, because I can relate to what Henry was saying. Like I would pick up the bass after a long day. I'd start playing it. I'd drink that one beer and go, you know what? I'd rather drink beer. Why? This is hurting my back. Let's put this down. And next thing you know, I was off to the bar. Let's see what kind of trouble
slippery
we can
slope,
get to.
isn't it?
Yeah. And then I didn't play, and I play so much now in my sobriety because I miss it and I enjoy it.
Yeah. That's good. You got to see what's really important.
And honestly, I just try to take it easy and do what I enjoy. If I don't want to do it, I'm gonna tell you nicely. No, I really don't want to do that.
I like what you said. Just take it easy. I like that. Just take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy. Is that supposed to rhyme? Is that supposed to rhyme? Take it easy. Let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy.
Crazy. Oh, I'm more of a one of these nights type guy with that bass line.
Is that the Eagles? One of these nights? That bass player is super talented. The guy that sings, he was like a late addition to the band, and he made him like so much better. Oh, what was that song? Okay, this is not something I'll do on the air. I'll think about this another time. But
we'll save it for next week's episode.
Okay, yeah, that one that's not going to air. Folks, thanks for reminding me, Big Joe. This is the end of the show. I just wanted to say next week, if you didn't catch it at the start of the episode, we are not going to be on the air next week. Next week is Christmas morning. Enjoy it. We don't expect you to be here, so you will not be penalized for not showing up next week. I do keep track of who shows up and who doesn't show up, and there are strict penalties for those who haven't been showing up. I know who you are, and you know who you are. But anyway, next week, if you tune in, we're not going to be here, but please feel free to watch any of our repeat episodes. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on Facebook. And that's about it. Big Joe, you got anything else going on? Anything else you want to say?
I just want to say I love you, and I love everyone who comes in, participates in the chat. We got a nice of who's who in there. a good
Thank
friend,
you for reminding me. Yes, I'm so sorry. Thank you for reminding me of the chat. My computer was going crazy this episode. I'm very sorry, and I lost most of the chat, so I wasn't really able to interact with you guys, unfortunately, as much as I would have liked to. So I'm very sorry about that.
I saw
Thank
you
for
out
reminding
there
me.
in Thailand. So they were rocking it. They're carrying the torch.
Okay, good people, yes. Oh, also, damn, are we gonna get a Mario Kart tournament going off or what?
Yeah, and then what we're gonna do Mario Kart, and sign-ups are you have to send it to the morning after Gmail, and we're gonna set up a tournament. And
Yes.
I think like a bag of sunflower seeds is the prize.
Prize to be determined later. It will include a bag of sunflower seeds. It will. But yes, Big Joe had the great idea. Oh, perfect, right there. Perfect. So anyway, yes, Big Joe had the great idea to get a little Mario Kart tournament popping off, a morning after Mario Kart tournament. So if you've got the Switch, let's do some Mario Kart. I'm getting some suggestions here late in the game. Shazbot says do Tetris Attack. That sounds like a great way for Big Joe to take all of our money because he's really good at Tetris Attack. D Suze, my man, what's up? Super Smash. I don't have Smash Brothers, but I want it. But that would be a good one to do a tournament in because that's a fighter game. Maybe for the next tournament we'll do Super Smash. That's a good one. D Souza says I'm in. So hey, Mario Kart, let's do it. I'll destroy you in MC. I'm sure he meant Mario Kart. I'm sure he meant. So guys, if you want to get in on the tournament, I don't know how this is going to work, but send an email to morningaftertv at gmail.com. Oh, send your friend code. That's what you should do. Send your friend code over. Your Switch friend code. I've never set up a tournament before, so I'm thinking as I speak. So please send your friend code over to morningaftertv at gmail.com. That's all I got to say about that. Big Joe, I know I already asked you this, but anything else you want to say?
I think that's it, my man. I think my mouth has ran out of gas, and I'm good.
Oh, you've done such a great job running that mouth today. Thanks for taking over. I don't know what the hell's wrong with my connection, but we need to figure this out before the next show. That was very embarrassing. Very embarrassing. But anyway.
Nah, it worked out fine.
Tune in next week.
Both times it looked like you were just intently listening, and it took me a second. I'm like,
my fiance is watching it on the screen in the other room, so I quickly ran out there to see what it looked like on the broadcast, and you guys were talking about my face. I was like, oh god damn it. Okay. All right, that's going to be that. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Don't tune in next week because we're not going to be there, but we will be back January 1st. It is the first show of 2021. It's going to be my birthday, but that's not what it's not going to be about a birth. It's not going to be a birthday show. It is just going to be a New Year's Day 2021 blast off, let's go kind of episode, okay? So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in. Really appreciate you guys. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart and Joe's, I'll speak for Joe. We really appreciate that you guys hang out with us every Friday. Thanks for joining us for about half the year. We filled up half the year with these damn episodes. And we're going to start a new one, a new year. So, everybody, thanks for joining us. And that's all I got to say about that. Forrest Gump. And for Big Joe, I'm JP. We'll see you in 2021. Peace, everyone.